What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we are going to be going ahead and covering the new Versus unit that has been debuted. We just made a video discussing the Shanks portion of the unit. This unit has a lot of things to talk about, but now let's go ahead and talk about Kid. Now, I think that when we first thought that, Shanks versus Kid was going to be a thing, I think most people thought, Shanks was going to be the highlight of the unit. But after having a brief breakdown and a run through and just an initial read of what Kid does, I actually like the design of Kid way more than I like the design of Shanks. I do think that Shanks probably has a bit more support that really goes in his way, but Kid is no slouch. Kid is very, very good. So let's go ahead and talk about what Kid does. He is going to be a strength shooter driven, which is what I was hoping he was going to be. So he is going to be covering the shooter class in his kit, which is really exciting, because the shooter class is one of my favorite, if not my favorite class in the entire game. So let's go ahead and have a look. Let's have a look at his captain ability first. He gives shooter characters minus 2 turns of cooldown at the start of the quest, so kind of like a speed farm captain. Boosting crew's attack up to approximately 6 times based on the number of shooters on the crew. So it's a rainbow captain, but with more shooters you get more multipliers. Boost your HP by 1.3, makes Tandem Bomb and Super Bomb have matching slot effects. If 4 or more shooters are on the crew, reduces bind duration by 10 turns, which is very good. And then if you have 6 shooter characters on your crew, and a shooter crewmate uses a special, reduces this character's special cooldown by 5 turns. So that's really good. If you've got the full team of shooters, another shooter uses a special, Kid gets minus 5. It's very good. If you have 6 shooter characters on your crew, and your HP is 25% or below, boosts shooter characters attack by approximately 6.5 times. So that's pretty strong as well. Up to a 6.5 times shooter captain is crazy strong. And then if you have used his special ability, his captain ability is going to get an added effect for 3 turns, where it says if you have 6 shooters on your crew, you have 25% HP or below, for any character on the crew with Barrier Pierce as a potential ability and meets the activation for it to activate, applies a minus 6% shooter resistance to all enemies for 1 turn when you land a successful strike. So that's really strong too. We've seen this in the past with other shooter-focused captains, where if they've got barrier penetration and they activate it, then they get like a beneficial effect. So in this case, this is going to be more offensively focused, where if you're running a shooter team, you're 25% HP or below, and you go ahead and perform that perfect, then instead of removing your defensive effect, which is what a lot of those characters did in the past, he instead gets a 6% shooter resistance bonus damage. So yeah, just solely focused on offense is what this character is doing here. But in terms of what this character is doing, just a little bit of a rundown once again. Minus 2 turns of cooldown, high multipliers, HP, Tandem Bomb and Super Bomb are going to be matching, bind removal, which is really good. If you got a full team of shooters and another shooter uses a special, you get cooldown for Kid. And then if you got a full team of shooters and you're at low HP, you get the high multiplier. And then after you use the special, you get the effect of Barrier Pierce equals 6% shooter resistance. So yeah, I think Kid, honestly, captain ability wise, I don't really have too many problems with it. He just seems pretty solid all around. Seems pretty good. And obviously you can synergize this well with some of the other good shooter captains in the game. I think Ezo will work really well, because I believe the Ezo batch was solely focused about being at low HP thresholds in order for Barrier Pierce to launch, and I think that could work really well with this guy. Let's have a look at the special though. The interesting thing about Kid's special is that you can only use Kid's special once per quest, and you can also charge his special past the maximum limit. Now, we talked about this in my, concept video for Shanks versus Kid, and I had a feeling that this kind of effect might actually be here, and it actually is exactly what is going to be here. So, you can only use it once, but you can max the special past its maximum limit. So, while it does max at 15 turns, you can actually charge it to, 20 turns, 30 turns, etc. Now, what the effect actually does, it applies a paralysis to all enemies for 2 turns, ignoring immunity to status effects. The 75% chance to not do anything is kind of whatever. It's just the fact that it's applying paralysis, which is a good thing. Kid's special will also increase your multiplicative chain boost to 2 times. So basically, if you have a chain multiplicative boost, his special ability will just grab that multiplicative boost and immediately jump it up to a 2 times, which is really strong. However, it does state that if you don't have a multiplicative boost activated, it will still give you a 1.5 chain multiplicative boost for 1 turn, and this is where the overcharge effect happens. It says plus further 0.1 for every 3 turns over your max, up to 2.5. So this is by far and away the highest chain multiplicative buff we have in the game. 2.5 times is very high, but it does require a ton of overcharge in order to get that. In most cases, you're not going to get that. Even still, even if you can get to around a 2 times chain multiplicative buff, that's incredibly good. Furthermore, it will boost damage dealt to enemies inflicted with paralysis by 2.5 times for 1 turn, so you just get a guaranteed paralysis conditional boost activated with this special. But it says the conditional boost can be further increased by 0.1 for every 3 turns over your max special, up to 3.5 times. Again, very hard to achieve the 3.5 multiplier, but it is very good. The thing is, though, is you do have to take that into consideration, is that every time you have, you got a full team of shooters, every time another shooter character uses their special, kid gets -5 turns of cooldown. So getting the overcharge, I suppose when you look at it in that perspective, it probably isn't that bad. So yeah, that's really cool that you can abuse it in that way with his captain effect. So you get the conditional boost, which can scale up pretty high. The special as well will cut your crew's HP by 50%, plus a further 5% for every 1 turn over your max special, up to 99%. And then deals 200 times the HP amount lost in non-type damage to all enemies. So this is a lot of damage that you can scale pretty quickly, so long as you can have a lot of overcharge, cutting your HP by really large proportions, and then dealing a ton of damage, special damage with this effect here. It then will reduce all enemies' Rainbow Shield and Blue Shield by 6 turns, so that's obviously very good, and then reduces the duration by a further 4 turns if you have 6 shooter characters on the crew, so potentially 10 turns of defense and Rainbow Shield removal is really good. And then if your crew has 20% or below HP, which is right here, applies a damage nullification status until you are hit 1 time. Effect is also applied if HP becomes 20% or below with this special. That is fantastic. So when you launch the special, you basically get a permanent 100% damage reduction until you are hit 1 single time. This is fantastic. So this can last multiple different turns, just until you're hit once, then it gets removed. But you can basically use this on your major burst turn, use his special ability. You go down to like 1 HP or whatever, you do a ton of damage, but then you can tank any 1 hit. So if the enemy does a death hit, you can just tank it no matter what, right? So this is good. This is a great special ability here. He does a lot of different things. Guaranteed paralysis conditional boost, fantastic chain multiplicative buff, with the really high conditional boost as we said, health cut, big damage dealing special, removing 10 turns of blue and rainbow shield, and then you can potentially get the damage nullification until you're hit once. You can overcharge your special with the captain ability, bind removal in the captain, cooldown reduction in the captain, big multipliers of course that can occur, and then potential ability effects activating, getting you shooter resistant. So this is all focused about doing as much damage as you possibly can, whilst having a couple of key pieces of utility. There's not really much here that's bad. I mean, he's just really well designed in my opinion. We do have some more stuff to talk about though. Crewmate ability, we already talked about this with Shanks. This is a fantastic crewmate ability for shooter damage. Crewmate ability 2 makes a tandem bomb and super bomb matching for shooters, which is the most important thing. You do get a bit of an HP bonus, which is nice. The versus effect requirement is the only real problem that I have with Kid. This is going to be really annoying to get. You have to consume tandem bomb and super bomb, as well as recovery slots with this character himself. It doesn't work for your whole crew, it's only for Kid himself. Or you keep passing turns for a total gauge of 18, which is actually pretty hard to get to, honestly. If you're in a Super Boss Kizuna or just a Kizuna, for example, that is going to be easy because I believe you get like minus 15 turns, minus 15 to the gauge immediately, so that shouldn't be that big of a deal. But 18 is pretty harsh. And the effect itself, though, activates an HP guard of 100% effect for 2 turns. So good. And then changes shooter character slots including block into tandem, changes your crew's attack multiplier of tandem slots to 2.5 times for 2 turns. So yeah, this is incredibly good. HP guard, because when you use his special ability and you can potentially go down to like 1 HP with the huge health cut that can occur, his HP guard mechanic protects you from stuff like pain debuff, burn debuff, activating rush Sugo specials, anything like that. You just poison no matter what. You just don't take any damage when you're at that low HP threshold. HP guard in this kit with what he's doing makes perfect sense. The guaranteed board of tandem, and then buffing the tandem slots to a 2.5 times multiplier. Like this is fantastic. And he also has Super Tandem, mind you. He has Super Tandem, but it's the same kind of Super Tandem that we've seen with the versus Kaido, where at the final battle with 4 or more shooters on the crew, and you just have to attack with the 4 shooters and Kid, and then you get the 2.5 times tandem attack boost for shooters, and then you get a 1500 base attack boost for the next final tap character. So it's not a good super tandem. This effect is pretty redundant and kind of mundane, but what I will say is that everything else with Kid, I absolutely love the design of. He is incredibly strong. And shooters, as I said, one of my favorite classes. This is a nice addition to those teams to make them do a ton of additional damage. Let's go ahead and move on. Actually, I guess one thing I should probably mention as well. The fact that he is shooter focused means you can actually use Exchange Ace with him to potentially double stack conditional boost. So that's pretty neat. And also the fact that Exchange Ace is also a strength unit. So they're really building a good core of strength shooters that could potentially be kind of good. And I believe, if I remember correctly, Strength Ezo, who is, you know, another shooter character focused on being at low HP thresholds, is also strength, and I believe as a final tap. So there could be some cool synergies with that. We'll see moving forward. We got his Rumble stuff to talk about. He is going to be an attacker style unit, really high special CT, so hopefully it's a good special. 35 CT, targets enemies in a large horizontal range for 3.5 times damage. And then if 5 or more shooters are on the team, targets enemies in a large range for, again, 3.5 times damage. And if the time remaining is 40 seconds or less, targets 3 enemies, ignoring defense, for 1.5 times damage. This is going to be great for shooters. This is exactly what shooters have needed. Shooters have needed someone to do a ton of damage on their teams, and they currently don't have that. This may be the unit that they've been searching for. What's the Rumble ability? Shooter characters, attack 6, HP 6, speed 6. If 5 or more shooters are on the team, gives himself level 6 attack, level 4 CT speed increase. That's good. No defense is a bit concerning though, because shooters may be a little bit wonky in terms of the defensive stats, but hey, this character seems very, very good. When the team has used 6 Rumble specials, targets all enemies for defense down level 7, 5 times leader base attack. When you have 40 seconds or less on the timer, all enemies get 6,000 damage. I mean, this is a good effect actually. This is pretty solid. And then the Rumble, or the leader skill for Grand Party, shooter driven, get buffs, and strength int get buffs. Not too crazy with his Grand Party stats for the leader skill, but the Rumble special seems pretty good. When the timer is 40 seconds or less, this is probably going to kill a decent amount of characters with pretty decent defense down, then does the damage. Yeah, he seems solid for sure. But that's the breakdown of Kid. I think Kid's actually really, really good. It's hard to evaluate this unit at the moment. I think that Shanks has such high potential because Zora and Sanji exist. If Zora and Sanji didn't exist, I probably would devalue Shanks quite a lot, but that really pumps him up big time. And then as for Kid, I mean, Kid's got access to some really good characters. The only real issue that I see with him potentially is that there are some shooter characters that have potential abilities with their barrier pierce that only activate when you're at high HP thresholds or you're above 50%. Whereas Kid with his kit, you're trying to be at low HP thresholds. Now, while there are characters that do activate at low HP thresholds, not all of them do that. There are some SugoFest exclusives that activate it despite whatever HP threshold you're at, so that's obviously going to be good. But there could be some health, some HP restrictions and some conflictions based on the shooter characters. But I think, generally speaking, I think Kid is going to be a great addition to shooter squads. What I will say, though, is that it is a little bit strange that his entire kit has, like, effects that can make bomb and super bomb slots matching, but nothing in his kit actually generates a bomb or a super bomb slot. It's just generically there. If you ever get them, you can make use of them, which is kind of cool. I suppose, in a way, with the release of S-Bear that came out recently, he can actually kind of synergize with this unit as well, so that's pretty cool. But that's the breakdown of Kid. So let me know your thoughts and opinions about Shanks and Kid, specifically down below in the comment section. We already made a video dedicated to Shanks, but if you want to talk about Kid, let me know your thoughts and opinions about him down below in the comment section. Really hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.